Question.
Yeah, so I had this question like now since there is high possibility that I will get a job. So now I
That's
don't
good
know
news.
what to do in life.
Per-
Yeah, thank you. But I think there is like kind of general apathy in life. Like I don't know what to do. Earlier, like I basically see everyone else achieving something or the other, but I just don't care.
What
Like
do you care
I think
about?
it could be sorry.
What do you care about?
I think right now just dopaminergic things, like just eating things, working
Dopaminergic?
on.
Did you say dopaminergic? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big clown show. I don't know. That thing is taking off like crazy. That we don't even know most of the neurotransmitters in the brain, and everybody's decided that dopamine is dopamine. It's like ADHD or multiple personality or uh, there's others like this, eating disorders. These are just fads that come and go. Don't. I mean, you should not be speaking about dopamine unless you really, really, really know the brain. Unless you're using it as kind of a metaphor, but it's a bad metaphor because it makes people think that it's somehow or another wired into them. Uh, so so eating, entertaining yourself, sleeping, yeah, like a dog, like an animal, right? Nothing wrong with that. Dogs are wonderful, but yeah, you're gonna have a problem as long as you're living like an animal because you have a spirit that and a mind that want more than that, but you seem to have covered them over. I would that's just a guess. So go through it again. So what you want is leave out the neurobiology, the neuropsychopharmacological, you know,
okay.
physiology, and let's talk about in normal terms. You want what?
Basically addictive things like just overeating or eating fast food or tasty food or
Okay,
anything.
okay.
But
Eating food is not addictive, right?
yeah, but eating daily bad food every day that will lead to
But see how you use the
health.
word addictive. See these words,
Yeah,
they have helplessness in them. Do you see what I'm saying? All right. So it's let's forget about bad or good. Is this food you enjoy eating?
yeah,
Okay. So just like a dog, not so much like a cat, not so much like a. It's more like a dog or a fish, right? Humans are like dogs or fish in that, or some fish, in that they'll eat more than they can handle. They'll make themselves sick eating too much. Not all animals are like that, but we are. And so, yeah, that's an issue. Now, I'm not insulting, and I know in some cultures to be
yeah.
considered a dog as an insult. I consider it a huge compliment. I aspire to be more dog-like. You know, they're loving, they're faithful, they're loyal, they're courageous, they're constant. I mean, they're consistent, and they love like few other creatures. And so it's not an insult at all. But one of the downsides to being a dog is that you're going to eat what you can get, and you're going to eat all of it. And so yeah, it's a dog's life. Yeah. Okay. So
I think
food.
I
What else?
was
What else? Food.
yeah and entertaining myself with just the things and I think basically big companies have like designed it in such a way that they just touch on to our natural things, like natural inclinations, and like abuse it to
Did you study operant, classical, and conditioning in college? Do you know what those are?
no.
Okay, so you should spend a little time learning about this. This was psychology in the 50s of the last century, 40s and 50s, before my time. At any rate, what Pavlov, the great Russian psychophysiologist, discovered that if he paired a bell with some food, the dog would start, the dog would, oh, yeah, that's good, good, good. And then give it some more food, the dog does the same thing. Does this, oh, thank you, puppy. He's agreeing with me. Okay, so then now we just ring the bell, and what does the dog do? It starts to salivate. So he found that you could condition, so you could teach a dog to respond to a stimulus, a bell or a light or another sound, and you could alter the dog's secretion of saliva. Okay, that was a big discovery back then. And then we realized that hey, we can do this with a lot of things. We can do it with pigeons, we can do it with ducks, we can do it with all kinds of creatures. We can teach them to respond to a conditioned stimulus. So the bell is the conditioned stimulus. So they're responding to a bell now. They're not even responding to food anymore. So now we got a kind of a crazy dog, because when he hears a bell, he starts salivating because he wants to eat something, right? So, and that, by the way, is, and then we begin to study the different ways to make this more effective. And so one way to do it is the way I described it first, which is you ring the bell, give the food, ring the bell, give the food, ring the bell, give the food. But they discovered there are different ways to do it. One would be ring the bell, and then give the food after 3 rings, right? And do that consistently. That's called a fixed schedule of reinforcement. So every 3 bell rings, the dog knows he's going to get food, or the rat knows he's going to get a little pellet, right? But that wasn't nearly as effective as a variable schedule of reinforcement. You ring the bell, get some food. Ring the bell, no food. Ring the bell, no food. Ring the bell, no food. Food. And the dog or the mouse or the person at the slot machine or the person at the poker table or the person playing video games has now been subjected to a variable schedule of reinforcement. Very, very, very powerful. Very powerful. Because and they respond to that more than anything else. And that's why slot machines are designed that way. So a slot machine is you know what a slot machine is, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever played one?
No, I don't want to get addicted to it.
Well, okay, but you're playing you're playing by the same rules when you play video games, because they have this built into them. And the same thing with social media. Now, there are people who know all this because they studied it or they've learned it from others. You should learn about it. And what you have to do is you have to look up, make a few notes. Behaviorism. And B.F. Skinner. I don't think you need to go back to Watson. And Pavlov. Oh, so we'll do Skinner and Pavlov. I'll do a little Watson too. So Skinner, Pavlov, and Watson. These great behavioral psychologists. And it's good for you to know this because at that time we thought we understood the world. Just like right now, people think they understand the world. We got dopamine, we've got tech that's going to create an artificial reality we're going to live in, and all this other stuff. So just like that, like you have to go back in history. And if you're old enough, you can do this easily, and you can see the same kinds of misguided. Another one that comes to mind is Freud. He thought the mind was hydraulic. The steam engines had been invented. They were talking about pressure and gases and heat and all that stuff. You know about that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so our models of the world are based on our technologies. So anyway, but going back to the behaviorism, look up these men, read about it, see if it interests you, and then apply these things to your life. And you become the person that administers the rewards and the punishments, and whether they're fixed, whether they're operant, whether they're classical, whether they're intermittent or variable or fixed schedule. And then all of a sudden you have a whole beautiful thing, a new hobby, to study your own mind and learn, well, wait a minute, these people all around me are trying to manipulate me, they're trying to capture me, they're trying to turn me into their resource, right? And, sometimes that's good. If they're going to exchange it for some good money, that's all right, okay? But if they're doing it to in a way that's unfair to you, or are unreasonably harmful to, say, children, then the only weapons we have are knowledge. You got to have knowledge, and then insight, and that will come. So with regard to what you do now is you prepare. Well, I mean, it sounds like you got a job. That's fantastic, right? Good news. It's tough out there for a lot of people. But so now you can relax a bit, just do your work, all right? And then you can apply this to either your work or to yourself. But the yield, unless the work is yourself, is to learn more about your mind. Become a scientist of the mind, all right? And I don't mean scientists like people use the word, they use it very, very loosely. I'm referring to the disciplined search for the truth of your mind and how it operates. Okay? That would be great for you. I think you'd love it. I think you'll have fun. And so stop selling yourself short. You have a great mind. You have and so these things are there for you to take, but no one can give them to you. You got to take them. And so I would say start with behaviorism if you're having difficulty with your own discipline in this case. Now I might say something totally different to somebody else. Follow up.
I have two questions. So first question is, what happened to these individuals, especially humans? Like what happened to their dreams and aspirations after they get sucked into this addiction cycle? Like, do they ever remember what their dreams and aspirations were prior to this?
It depends. Now, there are some things that are addicting. Fentanyl, heroin, alcohol. Yeah, those will kill you. And we lost 120,000 people last year, roughly, to exactly that. So they die in the gutter. I mean, that doesn't include all the alcoholics that are, suicided or drug themselves to death. It's very common, unfortunately. But those things are addicting. That's another reason to arm yourself by knowledge, by understanding. Right? Now, a lot of the things they say are addicting now are like, I'm addicted to sex. I mean, okay, all right, good. Well, how helpful is that? And so there's been what's happened, it feels like, is that people have stopped thinking. And this is why, going back to the Krishnamurti, the authorities will use you. And they will use your mind, they will use your body, they will use your country for their own ends. And some of those ends are not benevolent, they're malignant. And so it's vitally important that young people of your age arm yourselves with some knowledge against this stuff, because they're counting on your ignorance. It's much harder to enslave a man that is not ignorant, especially interior, right? And that's how, as we said before, these great books get written in prison, because you can imprison the body, but you can't imprison the spirit, not a spirit that's been nourished or cared for. And so you must nurture yours. First aligned, heart, mind, body, soul, you all pointing in the same direction, if possible. And sometimes you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do, like work some day that you don't feel like it, or work some year or 10 years that you don't feel like it, to put bread on the table. But that's not your spirit. Your spirit is something altogether different. But you must nourish it and you must protect it. And at this stage and at this level and at this point in your trajectory, knowledge is what you need, right? Knowledge. And that comes from acquiring information and sifting through the garbage to find the actual, steak. Pardon the metaphor. Follow up?
One more, like how does one reprogram themselves out of this situation?
Which situation?
Out of being addicted to things. Or
addicted to what? Remember, those who know do not generalize. Those who generalize do not know. Right? That's from the Tao Te Ching. So what specifically are you talking about? Video games or food or what?
Yes. Video games.
Well, the video game, you just throw the computer out, lock the computer up, or take the power cord, give it to your dad and say, hey, Give me this back in a month if I ask you to. You just stop it. The food, exercise more, and then see, you're not aligned if your body's saying, I just want junk food, and your mind is saying, no, that's not good for you, and your spirit is not going to necessarily opine on these things, but you're slowly suffocating it. And so you have to decide, am I a man or am I a mouse? Mice, they'll eat what's ever there, and they'll pull the lever. You can give them little pellets, and they'll pull levers like slot machines. I mean, these have been done with mice. They'll do it till they die. But are you a man or a mouse? I mean, and I don't mean that as an insult. It's a real question, although it does come from. Are you a man or a mouse? Is that Mickey Mouse or is that Mighty Mouse? That's Mighty Mouse, yeah. Mighty Mouse. Do you know Mighty Mouse?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Mighty Mouse versus Mickey Mouse?
I don't know their differences as such.
Neither do I. But the question is, are you Mighty Mouse or are you just a mouse? Or are you a man or a mouse, right? Are you a sheep or are you a wolf? Or are you a ram? Wolf was probably the wrong example. Are you a ram or a lamb? And so every man makes these decisions, and if they don't, they end up like all of the others, literally billions of people who are wandering around enslaved by the others. And then they want justice, but justice doesn't work like that, right? It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't. There's no situation I know of in nature where you just get to violate all the rules of nature and not suffer sooner or later some consequences. And so one of my favorite books, which is it's never too early to start, would be the Tao Te Ching in the Thomas Clary translation, because you'll be studying that all your life fruitfully, right? And so it sounds like you're falling back on the easiest things because you haven't had enough. You don't have enough information to know how stupid that is. The way Elon plays, once again, the way Elon plays games is he does it after his work. Are you the kind of man that eats his dessert first and then the meal? Or do you eat the meal and then dessert?
I am the later one, the first one.
You're the one who eats the dessert first?
I would say yes.
Okay. All right. So then you have to either give up on yourself and just go join the masses, or you have to change that, because that's not what a grown man does. That's what a little kid does. So if you want to be a man-child and suffer your whole life because of it, which is what happens, be bitter, be resentful, be jealous, be I only wish I had done this when I was younger. It's a story as old as humanity. You can be that fool. Or you could choose not to be that fool, but nobody can choose for you. And so this is a matter of your decision. You have to decide. And frankly, best to decide once and for all. But that's a task of the spirit. That's the movement of the spirit. That's something that transcends the whole tonal. We're now in another realm. So I don't know. Maybe you will just fall to the wayside and get fat and white, play video games, and eat Cheetos or whatever, nachos, whatever you guys eat. That'd be a tragedy, but there are many, many tragedies on this earth. And if you want to be one of them, they'll be more than happy to arrange it for you. But this work is about freedom. And freedom from the tyranny of these things that are designed to divert people with entertainment, with variable schedules of reinforcement and excitement. And hey, why not throw in some hot looking, cartoon girls, what do they call not avatars? Yeah, throw in some NPC girls to make it spicy, or warrior girls, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, this is mainly, it's not just a male problem, but it's primarily a male problem. And males are very, very easy to manipulate. So that's up to you, my friend, entirely. Follow up.
So may not be a follow-up, I would say. So it would be a bit different, but